Influential mayor fires teacher for political reasons. What she did next shocked the city. It was a stormy Thursday afternoon when the news broke. Clara Bennett, the beloved art teacher of Elmwood High, had been fired by none other than Mayor Thompson. The sensational headlines screamed of corruption, whispers of scandal swirling through the small town like a gust of wind. "Is this a story ripped from the headlines?" reporters asked. Why had the mayor chosen to target Clara, a woman who had dedicated her life to nurturing creativity in young minds? The truth was stranger than fiction. Clara had always been driven, her passion for art matched only by her love for her students. She taught them not just to paint, but to see the world through a lens of possibility. Yet as she stood outside the school, the weight of her dismissal felt like a suffocating fog. The whispers followed her. Didn't Mayor Thompson stand to gain from discrediting her? The timing of her termination was more than suspicious. It was calculated. Fury bubbled beneath her skin, igniting a resolve she never knew she had. She turned to social media, a platform she had avoided, fearing the judgment of strangers. But now it was her lifeline. With every tweet and every post, she poured her heart out, sharing stories of her students, the art they created, and the power of education. "It's time for change," she declared. The likes and shares rolled in, but mixed with the support came the trolls, echoing the mayor's distorted narrative. Clara fought through sleepless nights, her heart racing every time her phone buzzed. What if she failed? What if this was all for nothing? Each late-night post revealed a deeper wound. She had always sought validation, desperately hoping her efforts would be enough. But this time was different. This was about much more than herself. It was about her students and their futures. As the days passed, Clara stumbled upon a cryptic article linking Mayor Thompson's family to a past scandal, a hidden truth buried under years of deceit. The mayor wasn't just an adversary. He was a puppet master, pulling strings under the guise of community leadership. The small-town mask slipped, revealing a network of corruption that twisted through Elmwood, pitting neighbor against neighbor. With her campaign gaining momentum, Clara faced a barrage of opposition. The mayor's allies, like shadows in her rearview mirror, turned vicious. They spread lies, seeking to tarnish her reputation and drive a wedge between her and the community she loved. It was a battle of wills, and Clara was determined to stand her ground. But then a chilling revelation surfaced. Her own family had ties to the corrupted system. The foundation she had built her life upon was crumbling beneath her. Conflicted and shaken, Clara wondered about the sacrifices she would need to make to do what was right. As the countdown to the town hall meeting began, tension crackled in the air. Clara looked out at the crowd, uncertain if they would stand with her or turn their backs. The line between justice and self-preservation blurred, leaving her wondering, would she have the courage to expose the truth, or would she falter under the weight of the past? Antes de continuarmos com essa história incrível, preciso te fazer um alerta importante. Muitos inscritos têm relatado que o YouTube removeu suas inscrições sem aviso. Dá só uma conferida rápida no botão vermelho aí embaixo para garantir que você ainda está inscrito no canal. Não quero que você perca nenhum conteúdo exclusivo que vem por aí. E já que você está aí, deixa aquele like poderoso que me ajuda muito com o algoritmo. E me conta nos comentários, de qual cidade você está assistindo? Adoro conhecer cada pessoa incrível que faz parte dessa comunidade. Sua participação faz toda a diferença. Vamos interagir. Clara took a deep breath, scanning the crowd gathered in front of the town hall. The atmosphere was electric, a mix of anticipation and fear. She felt the weight of the moment heavy on her shoulders. Would they stand with her? Her heart raced, echoing the uncertainty swirling inside her. Then, a familiar voice cut through the murmurs. "Clara!" It was Ethan, her former student, now a high school graduate. He stepped forward, his face a mask of determination. "You've inspired us all. Don't forget why you started this." His words became a lifeline, igniting a fire in her chest. She nodded, squeezing her fists at her sides. This wasn't just about her. It was about every kid she'd ever taught. Taking a step towards the podium, she opened her mouth to speak. Suddenly, a loud crash interrupted her. Clara whipped around to see Mayor Thompson's car barreling down the street, tires screeching. It careened towards the gathering, panic erupting among the crowd. People screamed, scattering like leaves in a storm. Clara felt the panic seep into her bones, but in that split second, she also saw something strange. Thompson was behind the wheel, eyes wild. A look of pure desperation etched across his face. "Get out of the way!" someone shouted, but Clara stood frozen, caught between shock and instinct. The car veered at the last second, narrowly missing a group of children who had been playing nearby. The crash sent vibrations through the ground as it plowed into a parked vehicle, metal crumpling like paper. Smoke began to billow from the engine. Clara's heart stopped. She rushed towards the wreck, propelled by adrenaline and fear. What was happening? Was this really a coincidence? Or was Thompson trying to silence her once and for all? As onlookers began to gather around the wreckage, Clara spotted something on the passenger seat through the shattered window. Her heart sank. Stacked papers, brightly colored, unmistakably labeled with her name. She couldn't believe her eyes. What could it mean? Had he been spying on her? Or was there something more sinister at play? The crowd buzzed, people whispering, pointing. "Did you see that? What was he thinking?" Clara felt the heat of their gazes, an unspoken judgment mingling with fear and confusion. The chaos swirled, the tension thick enough to cut. In the chaos, Clara noticed a figure stepping through the smoke. It was Melanie, her closest friend since childhood. But there was a hollowness in her eyes that Clara had never seen before. "Clara," she said, voice trembling, "there's something you need to see. It's about the mayor and your family." Clara's stomach dropped. Melanie's expression told her everything. This was no longer just about her firing. It was deeper, darker. The family ties Clara thought she could rely on were now unraveling before her, potentially implicating her in the very web of deception she was trying to expose. As the fire truck arrived, sirens wailing, Clara faced a barrage of conflicting emotions. Could her own family have known about Thompson's corruption? What kind of price would she pay for digging deeper? The smoky air became thick with tension, the crowd silent as they sensed the shift. "Clara, we need to talk," Melanie whispered urgently, pulling her aside. The world around them faded, leaving Clara feeling small and unsure. What dreaded truth lay ahead? A sense of dread gripped her heart. Would she lose everything if she uncovered the truth? The mystery hung in the air like smoke, each breath a reminder that the past was far from buried, and that shocking revelations were still waiting to come to light. Clara knew one thing for sure. She was standing on the edge of a precipice, and whatever lay below could change everything. Clara's heart raced as she faced Melanie, the chaos around them fading into a dull roar. "What is it?" she whispered, fear pooling in her stomach. her eyes wide with anticipation. Suddenly, the fire truck sirens pierced through the air, but Clara was too consumed by the weight of Melanie's words. "Clara, you don't know everything. There are things about your family." Melanie paused, swallowing hard as she glanced back toward the wrecked car. "Your dad, he wasn't just a teacher. He was involved with Thompson. You were being watched from the start." Her eyes widened. "What are you saying? My dad? No!" Panic threatened to choke her, each word cascading like a stone sinking in a lake. The air was thick, heavy with regret. "Remember that summer you found his old notebook? The one you thought was just sketches?" Melanie continued, her voice low but urgent. "He was writing about the corruption in this town, about Thompson. And then it stopped. Clara, I think he knew something that put him in danger." Her mind spun. It couldn't be. It felt wrong, twisted. The thought of her father, a man who had always taught her to stand up for truth, being mixed up in corruption, was too much to bear. "He wouldn't do that," Clara protested. He was a good man." "Clara, think. He was scared. And that's why you were targeted. Thompson wanted to destroy your family's reputation before you dug too deep." The crowd buzzed with their own theories as emergency responders worked on the wreck. Clara's resolve faltered at the idea of her father's name being dragged through the mud. "But why would he keep it a secret from me?" A flicker of doubt crossed Melanie's face. Maybe he was trying to protect you, or maybe it was too late for him. "Clara, you have to open your eyes. The deeper you dig, the more you may find out about yourself, about your family." Just then, another figure emerged from the smoke, a man in a dark suit. Clara's pulse quickened when she recognized him as Mr. Reed, the school principal. His face was pale, eyes darting to the wreckage before locking onto Clara with a mix of urgency and fear. "Clara!" he called out, breathless, pushing through the crowd. "I need to talk to you. It's urgent." She felt a chill, shifting uneasily as she sat, her gaze on him. "What is it?" There was desperation in her voice, caught between the revelations about her father and the sheer madness of Thompson's crash. Mr. Reed stepped closer, lowering his voice. "There's something you need to know about your family's foundation." A knot twisted in Clara's stomach as anticipation built within her. "What are you talking about?" "There are funds, hidden funds that weren't just for scholarships. They're linked to Thompson's operations. Your family might have been involved in funding some of the very projects that led to the corruption." A suffocating silence enveloped her, every shred of clarity twisted into confusion. "No, that can't be true," she gasped, disbelief flooding her senses. "It's true," Mr. Reed pressed, his expression earnest. "We need to figure out what it all means before it's too late. You're the key to stopping this." Before she could respond, the ground beneath them trembled as Thompson stumbled out of his vehicle, blood dripping from his forehead. He looked wild, eyes wide, a desperate plea embedded within them. "I didn't mean for this to happen," he gasped. "I was trying." Clara's breath caught in her throat as a realization gripped her. If everything they said was true, if her family was tangled in this web of deceit, it meant her fight wasn't just for her job. It was for her family's name, their legacy, and for justice. The truth hung in the air, thick and suffocating. What had once been straightforward now spiraled into a complex tangle of lies and hidden agendas. Suddenly, the room felt too small. The stakes had never been higher. "Clara, listen to me," Thompson sputtered, reaching out. But the crowd surged forward, voices clashing in a cacophony as they surrounded the wreck and the truth that loomed dangerously close. In that moment, Clara knew she was at a crossroads, poised on the edge of revelation. What shocking truths were still buried? Fear and determination battled within her as she prepared to face the darkness head-on. Whatever happened next would change everything, and she felt the icy grip of uncertainty clenching at her heart. Clara's heart raced as she faced Melanie, the chaos around them fading into a dull roar. "What is it?" she whispered, fear pooling in her stomach, her eyes wide with anticipation. Suddenly, the fire truck's sirens pierced through the air, but Clara was too consumed by the weight of Melanie's words. "Clara, you don't know everything. There are things about your family." Melanie paused, swallowing hard as she glanced back toward the wrecked car. "Your dad, he wasn't just a teacher. He was involved with Thompson. You were being watched from the start." Her eyes widened. "What are you saying? My dad? No!" Panic threatened to choke her, each word cascading. Like a stone sinking in a lake, the air was thick, heavy with regret. "Remember that summer you found his old notebook, the one you thought was just sketches?" Melanie continued, her voice low but urgent. "He was writing about the corruption in this town, about Thompson, and then it stopped. Clara, I think he knew something that put him in danger." Her mind spun. It couldn't be. It felt wrong, twisted. The thought of her father, a man who had always taught her to stand up for truth, being mixed up in corruption was too much to bear. "He wouldn't do that," Clara protested. He was a good man." "Clara, think. He was scared, and that's why you were targeted. Thompson wanted to destroy your family's reputation before you dug too deep." The crowd buzzed with their own theories as emergency responders worked on the wreck. Clara's resolve faltered at the idea of her father's name being dragged through the mud. "But why would he keep it a secret from me?" A flicker of doubt crossed Melanie's face. "Maybe he was trying to protect you. Or maybe it was too late for him. Clara, you have to open your eyes. The deeper you dig, the more you may find out about yourself, about your family." Just then, another figure emerged from the smoke, a man in a dark suit. Clara's pulse quickened when she recognized him as Mr. Reed, the school principal. His face was pale, eyes darting to the wreckage, before locking onto Clara with a mix of urgency and fear. "Clara!" he called out, breathless, pushing through the crowd. "I need to talk to you." "It's urgent." She felt a chill, shifting uneasily as she set her gaze on him. "What is it?" There was desperation in her voice, caught between the revelations about her father and the sheer madness of Thompson's crash. Mr. Reed stepped closer, lowering his voice. "There's something you need to know about your family's foundation." A knot twisted in Clara's stomach as anticipation built within her. "What are you talking about?" "There are funds, hidden funds, that weren't just for scholarships. They're linked to Thompson's operations. Your family might have been involved in, funding some of the very projects that led to the corruption." A suffocating silence enveloped her, every shred of clarity twisted into confusion. "No, that can't be true," she gasped, disbelief flooding her senses. "It's true," Mr. Reed pressed, his expression earnest. "We need to figure out what it all means before it's too late. You're the key to stopping this." Before she could respond, the ground beneath them trembled as Thompson stumbled out of his vehicle, blood dripping from his forehead. He looked wild, eyes wide, a desperate plea embedded within them. "I didn't mean for this to happen," he gasped. "I was trying to—" Clara's breath caught in her throat as a realization gripped her. If everything they said was true, if her family was tangled in this web of deceit, it meant her fight wasn't just for her job. It was for her family's name, their legacy, and for justice. Just then, a voice rose above the chaos. "Thompson, tell us the truth!" A man from the crowd stepped forward, fists clenched, his face a mix of rage and fear. It was Jacob. An old friend turned adversary. The crowd hushed, all eyes on the mayor. "Jacob, please," Thompson pleaded, backing away. "You don't understand." But before he could finish, a loud boom echoed through the air. An explosion rocked the ground, and a thick plume of smoke shot up from the mayor's car. Clara stumbled back, heart racing as searing heat pressed against her skin. In the chaos, a shadowy figure darted away from the wreckage, and Clara's instincts kicked in. Stop! She found herself running, pushing past stunned onlookers, her pulse pounding in her ears. Who was that? Who would attack now? Clara caught a glimpse of the figure slipping into an alley, and adrenaline surged through her. She followed, heart pounding, desperate for answers. The alley was dark and narrow, the sounds of chaos fading behind her. "Who are you?" she shouted, voice trembling. The figure stopped, but didn't turn. "Show yourself!" Suddenly, the figure raised a hand, and in motion, Clara saw a flash. A badge! "FBI!" the agent barked, turning to face her. "We're here to investigate Thompson, but you need to back off." "What? Why?" A rush of confusion filled Clara. "I'm involved in this?" "More than you know," the agent replied, her voice low and urgent. "Look, I can't explain now, but your family is not what it seems. Your father, he was... We need to talk about everything." Clara's breath caught. A twist she never imagined. A connection unfolding that threatened to upend everything she believed about her family. "What do you mean?" she pressed, trying to keep her composure. But before the agent could respond, the scene erupted, a confrontation breaking out between the crowd and the mayor's supporters, chaos spilling into the street. Clara's world spun once again. She suddenly realized she was standing on the edge of a cliff, where every step forward could lead to salvation or ruin. She stole a glance at the alleyway. What more was at stake? Would she dare take the leap into this murky truth? Heart racing, she made a choice. She wouldn't step back. Not now. Not when answers lay just beyond her reach. But little did she know, the ground beneath her was crumbling, and she was about to lose everything she thought she knew. Clara's heart raced as she faced the FBI agent, everything around her blurring into background noise. "What do you mean?" she pressed, struggling to keep a lid on the tumult of emotions threatening to spill over. The urgency in the agent's eyes told her it was serious. This was no ordinary confrontation. "Your father, he had files, evidence of Thompson's corruption. It was buried deep, but it connects your family to the very crux of this scandal." The agent whispered fiercely, glancing around nervously. "And I think your father might still be alive." "What?" Clara felt the earth shift beneath her, her mind racing. "Alive? But he's been gone for years." The agent took a deep breath, stepping closer. "Listen carefully. We have reason to believe he faked his death to escape the very web of deceit you're caught in. Your family is essential to this investigation. He's been hiding, gathering information." Clara's world began to spin. Could it be true? Why didn't he come back? Why didn't he tell me? "I don't know," the agent replied, urgency in every... "But we think Thompson caught wind of what he was doing. He targeted you to sever that connection, to silence your father once and for all." Before Clara could grasp the implications, another explosion erupted from behind her. A shattering noise, a flash of light, and suddenly the crowd erupted into chaos. People ran, screams echoing through the alley as Clara stumbled, instincts kicking in once more. What now? She thought, heart pounding as shock waves ripped through the air. Smoke billowed outward, clawing at her senses, and in the chaos, she lost sight of the agent. Clara felt panic rise. Was this a distraction? An attempt to eliminate her voice? She had to connect the dots. Her father, Thompson, the corruption. It all intertwined in ways she never understood. Then she heard it, a voice cutting through the chaos. "Clara? Clara?" It was Ethan, rushing toward her, eyes wide with fear. "You have to leave! They're targeting you!" "Ethan, wait!" Clara shouted, desperate to explain. "I'm not running away. I'm close to the truth." But his expression turned serious, lips pressed tightly together. "You don't get it. Thompson's goons are everywhere. You're not safe." In that moment, a chilling realization washed over her. The community she fought for, the students she loved, it was all caught in this deadly game. Was she really ready to uncover her family's dark secrets? "Ethan, I have to know," she yelled, gripping his arm tightly. "If my dad's alive, if he could help." A figure emerged from the smoke, silhouetted against the flames. It was Thompson, staggering, looking more desperate than ever. "Clara, listen, I can explain." His voice was hoarse, his eyes darting, as if the darkness around him was consuming him whole. "Why should I trust you?" she snapped, holding her ground. "You've ruined everything." Suddenly, another figure appeared beside Thompson, Melanie, looking pale and shaken. "Clara, please, you have to believe us." "What? Believe what? That you all knew something and didn't tell me?" Clara's words dripped with pain. "You're all tangled up in this mess. I have no idea who I can trust." Then, with a crash, another explosion shook the ground, sending Clara sprawling to the ground. Dazed, she looked up to see a massive vehicle barreling toward her. Panic surged through her as she realized it was no accident. It was a direct hit, aimed squarely at her. "Clara, get back!" Ethan screamed, but it was too late. In that chilling moment, everything went dark. A blinding flash enveloped her vision, pain lancing through her body as she felt the wrenching grip of fate pulling her in. Was this the end, or just the beginning of an unthinkable revelation? And then, silence, and utter stillness, like the world had paused to catch its breath. Clara had no idea what lay on the other side, but one thing was certain: nothing would ever be the same again. The secrets buried deep would claw their way to the surface, and when they did, would she be ready to face them? Clara's eyes fluttered open, the world slowly coming back into focus. Her body ached as if she'd been hit by a truck, but that didn't matter right now. The memories flooded back like a tidal wave. The explosion, the chaos, Ethan, Melanie, Thompson. Where were they? She sat up quickly, her heart racing. Around her was a blur of sirens and shouting, a tumult of panic. Smoke lingered, curling in the air like whispers of fear. But she had to find them. "Ethan! Melanie!" she cried out, voice hoarse, desperation clawing at her throat. As she gathered herself, a hand gripped her shoulder tightly. It was the FBI agent, her face a mask of urgency. "Clara, we need to move! Where's Ethan? Where's Thompson?" Panic surged within her. They had been right there. What had happened? "Thompson is being taken into custody, but we're not safe yet. Your father's situation is far more dangerous than we realized," the agent said, her breath quickening. We need to find your father's files before they fall into the wrong hands. Files? What files? Clara felt like she was chasing shadows, every answer leading to more questions. What's going on? The agent hesitated, glancing back toward the wreckage. You need to understand. Your father faked his death, not only to protect himself, but to protect you. He believed Thompson uncovered too much. Clara, there's a whole network of people involved, and you're at the center of it. Just. Then, Ethan appeared, looking frantic. Clara! He rushed towards her and pulled her into a tight embrace, his relief palpable. I thought something happened to you. I'm okay, I think. But what's going on with Thompson? Clara looked into Ethan's eyes for reassurance, hoping for an answer that wouldn't twist her gut. He's been arrested, but I don't trust this. Not for a second. Something feels off. Ethan's voice trailed, his eyes scanning the crowd. Just then, a wild shout went up from a nearby group. Look! Clara turned, her heart skipping a beat at the sight of Melanie, her friend staggering from the smoke, face pale as a ghost. Melanie! Clara called, and Melanie stumbled over, fear etched into every feature. I found something you need to see. What is it? Clara asked, breathless. Melanie pulled a crumpled envelope from her jacket. It's from your father. I found it, behind the cleaners. She was trembling, her eyes darting as already haunted by what she'd seen. Clara took the envelope, heart pounding. What does it say? I don't know. Just open it. Breathless, Clara ripped it open, her hands shaking. Inside were documents, names neatly typed but covered in redacted sections. One name stood out, Mayor Thompson. Sweat broke out on her brow. This doesn't make sense. Ethan leaned in closer, eyes narrowing. What does it say? It's all linked, names of people, politicians, and us. Our family name is here. Clara gasped, the realization crashing over her like a wave. We're tangled in this mess. Melanie grabbed her arm. Wait, there's something else. With shaking hands, she pulled out a picture, grainy but recognizable. This is your father, Clara. But look at who he's with. The photo showed her dad shaking hands with Thompson. But beside him stood a man Clara had only ever seen in old family photos. Someone she thought had died long ago. Her grandfather. Impossible, Clara murmured, the world spinning around her. Grandpa? How? Before Melanie could answer, the ground shook again. A distant roar filled the air, followed by the sound of sirens growing closer. In the distance, a police van careened down the street toward them, its lights flashing ominously. No, we need to get out of! Here now, Ethan shouted, suddenly fierce. They're coming after us! Clara clutched the envelope, a myriad of questions whirling in her mind. The chaotic puzzle pieces of her life were all converging, and she felt dread pooling in her stomach. But if Thompson's after me, what does he want? What did my family do? Ethan grabbed her hand, eyes blazing with determination. We need answers, whatever it takes. But Clara, his voice dropped, the urgency shifting to something more personal. We have to trust each other. No secrets, no lies. She nodded, grounding herself. Promise. But before they could move, the police van skidded to a stop, blocking their escape. Officers poured out, eyes scanning for any signs of disturbance. Clara, one of them shouted, pointing directly at her, a mix of fury and fear on his face. You need to come with us. Fear gripped Clara's heart. With everything she had just learned, the secrets swirling like smoke, could she really trust anyone? There was only one thing she could do. Run, she yelled, yanking Ethan and Melanie with her, plunging into the maze of darkened alleyways, the truth of her family unraveling behind her, like a thread waiting to snap. "Clara, wait!" Melanie cried. But Clara felt the weight of destiny whispering through her bones, every beat urging her to uncover the truth, even if it meant walking through the flames. Clara ran through the alley, heart pounding, dragging Ethan and Melanie behind her. The sound of police sirens blared in the distance. It felt like the world was closing in on them. "They're coming!" she shouted, glancing over her shoulder as the chaos erupted behind them. "Where do we go?" Ethan's voice was tight, eyes scanning for any path of escape. "Follow me," Clara urged, bursting into an open street. She had to find somewhere safe to regroup, somewhere they could figure this out. Confusion clouded her mind, but one thing was clear. They had to protect themselves and uncover the truth. They slipped between buildings, ducking into a small cafe with its doors flung open. The scent of coffee wafted around them, but Clara couldn't relax. "We need to look at the files," she insisted, pulling out the envelope with shaking hands. "Wait, Clara, we should be careful," Melanie warned. "We don't know who's watching." Clara nodded, determination hardening her resolve. "But I can't just sit back. If my father is alive, if he's been sending us clues all this time—" With hesitant fingers, she opened the envelope and unfolded the documents. Names blurred before her eyes. Mayor, councilman, shady deals. But at the bottom was a handwritten note. "Find the light where shadows linger." "What does that mean?" Ethan leaned closer, frowning. "I don't know, but it's a start," Clara shot back, the urgency of the situation ratcheting up. "Maybe it's a place, the old library? Or the park where your father used to take you?" Melanie chimed in, eyes brightening with hope. "He loved that place. I say we check them both. We have to figure this out, together." Clara felt the weight of the moment surging through her. Just then, a loud crash interrupted them, as a group of officers stormed into the cafe, yelling for everyone to stay calm. Clara's heart raced as she exchanged a glance with Ethan and Melanie. "Time to move." "Out the back," Clara whispered urgently, and they darted toward the kitchen, squeezing through narrow passages. They burst out into the alley again, adrenaline fueling their escape. "We need to split up," Clara said, breathless. "Ethan, you head for the library. Melanie, come with me to the park. We'll meet back here in an hour." "Are you sure?" Ethan looked hesitant, worry etched on his face. "I'll be fine. Just trust me," Clara shot back. Then they were off. Dread still lingering in her heart. The park's familiar sights unfolded as Clara rushed toward the old oak tree, where she remembered her father reading to her, his voice worn and inviting. "Please let there be something here," she whispered, scanning the area. Then she saw it, a small hollow at the base of the tree. She knelt down and carefully pulled out a weathered box, dust and dirt clinging to it like years of forgotten secrets. Inside were more documents, photographs, and sketches, a history of everything that had brewed beneath the surface, implicating the mayor and others. Tears stung her eyes as she sifted through the pile. Her father had been a guardian of truth, risking everything. Now she understood. Her fight was about more than just her job. It was about justice, about giving a voice to those who were silenced. Suddenly, a familiar voice cut through her thoughts. "Clara!" It was Ethan, panting as he rushed over. "I found something. You won't believe it." "Did you see the files?" Clara asked, her voice thick with excitement and urgency. "Yes, and you've got to see this." Ethan pulled out a crumpled photo, but His expression turned serious. But we don't have much time. Thompson's people are looking for us. Let's get back to the cafe, Clara urged, adrenaline flooding her veins. We need to regroup and plan our next move. As they raced back, they spotted Melanie standing near the entrance, pale but resolute. I have something, she said, holding out another piece of paper. Clara's breath quickened as she reached for it. But before she could read the note, a figure appeared beside them, a dark silhouette emerging from the shadows. Looking for this? Thompson's voice rang out, sharp and chilling. Clara's heart dropped. This was the moment she had dreaded, her knees trembling as she faced the man who'd caused so much hurt. But a fire ignited inside her. "You don't scare me anymore," she said, voice steady, determination flaring in her chest. "Everything is about to change," he warned, smirking as if he had the upper hand. And then the ground trembled again. A loud crash echoed nearby. Clara's heart raced, but panic twisted somehow into hope. "Get down!" Ethan shouted, pulling her away, just before a police vehicle skidded to a halt in front of Thompson. "Get him!" an officer yelled as they rushed in. In the frenzy, Clara felt a twinge of hope, but also fear. What would happen now? The lies and corruption began to unravel around them, but would they be left standing in the wake? As Thompson was apprehended, Clara turned to Ethan and Melanie, feeling a sense of unity surround them. But the questions lingered heavy in her heart. What secrets would still be uncovered? What truths were waiting just beyond reach? If you enjoyed this thrilling conclusion and want to explore more captivating stories like this, you need to subscribe now to our channel. This is the moment to show your support. Smash that like button to help the algorithm bring you more exciting tales. And don't forget, flood the comments with your reactions and theories about this ending. What do you think will happen next? Plus, share this video instantly with at least 5 friends who need to know how this unfolds. Don't wait another second. Join us for the next adventure.